I was putting this together and thinking, what should I say? And should I have a long and sort of drawn out slide deck? And I realized, actually, in hindsight this morning as well, not to bother. So this is my only slide that I have today, and I'm going to talk around some of the points, not only on this slide, but in terms of the title of the presentation I've been given, which is What Next for Open Innovation in Big Pharma. The reason I didn't want any slides, several reasons. Firstly, we saw what happened with the technical problems at advancing slides. I don't need to advance slides. Secondly, Malcolm was giving the presenters this morning heat on having too many slides and taking too long. That's not going to happen here. I have one slide. And of course, we're already a little bit over time, so that's another good reason. Plus, it saved me a lot of hassle actually putting together a slide deck for you guys, in all honesty. So, what am I going to talk about today? I think, a little bit of a retrospective. I've been in life sciences for, well, ever since I left university. Well, I guess I was in life sciences when I was in university as well, when I wasn't in a boat. But I've been in it a while. I've been in academia for 11 years. I then did this biotech thing that Steve mentioned. Thank you, Steve, for 7 years. And I've now been in big pharma 7 days more than I was in biotech. So I've been in big pharma for 7 years, ever since Demantis was acquired early in 2007. So I've done a bit of everything. And what's interesting, I think, about the time I've spent in those various areas of life sciences, and thinking back to the kind of support and interactions we had at the time that were really positive, and actually what's there and thereabouts now to help us all try and make the best of the science we have, which is truly excellent in the UK, I believe, but actually to make the most of it, to really capitalize on it, to get it into little biotechs, to get it into the medicines that the patients are waiting for. What's changed between then and now? And so if I think back, I started in the lab with Greg at the MRC LMB in Cambridge. What was great about that place? And so how can we use some of those lessons today in terms of doing things better? What was really great about the LMB, I think someone else mentioned it earlier about the coffee shop and interacting in the tea room, was that personal contact. And it was actually being able to interact with people that you didn't really know very well, that didn't know you very well, that were much more senior than you were. But there was a real culture of everyone communicating with everyone else. It didn't matter how stupid your idea was, it didn't matter how trivial your question was, there was always someone there that was prepared to actually engage with you and answer that question. And and so many of those things, Yen Chu, I think, is a great example of conversations he had with Aaron Klug in the early days, and then they set up a biotech together. I mean, out of nowhere, because it certainly wasn't anything to do with his research project he was on at the time. So these things came out of those kind of interactions, very informal conversations in the coffee room, in the corridors or whatever. But it took that culture of being open and being prepared to actually engage with folk that you wouldn't normally want to talk to, wish to talk to, be paid to talk to, whatever it is. And I think one of the things, if I now wind the clock forward and think about what's working well today, are those opportunities for informal discussions. I mean, today, for sure, the most important thing is probably not sitting in these talks or even the panel discussions. It's actually the networking time outside, the opportunity to meet people you absolutely would not meet had you not come to this meeting, or you would not engage with, you don't know the folk, you'll bump into someone, some spark will come about in that conversation, all of a sudden you'll have created something that wouldn't have been there otherwise. And that really is open innovation. That's the heart of open innovation, creating those connections that wouldn't have been there otherwise. That's the reason that GSK invested in the Stevenage Biosciences Catalyst. Not to make money out of it, because we're not making any money. In fact, we put 11 million quid in it and it's all gone into that building and into the companies we're trying to grow there. But it's about actually trying to create an environment for biotech and for those conversations between the academic groups, the biotech companies, the nascent biotech companies, the companies that aren't even really companies yet, and pharma, whether it be us, AstraZeneca, J&J. We don't care, because what we're trying to do is create an environment